Geek Dad Life presents live discussions on House of the Dragon. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to live discussions of House of the Dragon. My name is Jay, and for the first time ever on this or any Geek Dad Life channel, we have a new co-host, Jamie.
Hey,
Jamie, welcome.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. We're back in Westeros.
You know, and it's funny because I was like, I'm never going back. Never, ever. They broke my heart.
Yeah, but the sad, sorry saps we saw a dragon, and that's all it took. Come crawling back.
You know, it's one of those things. We'll talk about it in a second. Let's say hello to the chat. We got Toy Gigasaurus here. We got Allison Troy's in the house. We got Scott D. We got Charlie Weaver. We got Dartherian here as well as Brick Something, Toy Connections, Valar Morgulis.
That's the name of a hero, whatever that is. That's a hero's name.
Oh, okay, cool. Kayla Silva's at a Giants game. Boo, Giants. J-Rod is here as well. Colleen Helen is here, even though I don't think she's seen the episode yet. I had to watch it during the day today and had to do the faux pas of watching it without the wife, which it's a house divided right now, worse than the Targaryens against each other.
It's a tough time.
Nick Dillinger is here as well. But anywho, I can't stay because I haven't watched the episode, but I wanted to come show some love for my girl, Jamie Joe. Well, there you go. See, you already have fans. Doing great.
Love it.
So, yes, this show. And maybe a lot of people I do sleep, I promise. Dear God, Colleen, please don't smack him with a shoe. Why would you say that, Allison? Scott, the show taught me awesome new treatment for a cut on my finger. Ooh. All right, we'll dig into all of episode 2, but let's at least touch upon episode 1 a little bit, because you know it I wasn't expecting to want to talk about the show so much. So let's do a stream about it.
Yeah.
Because the end of the show was just such a disappointment in so many ways.
Yeah, it was like this really slow heartbreak. It was like a breakup that just lasted a year, 2 years too long. And then when it was finally over, all we could do was think about why didn't we leave earlier? Why did we stay for this? It was hard.
So then are we the people that left finally, or just it ended just in an awful way, but then your ex got a new haircut. He has a leather jacket or something. It's
read a few self-help books.
Yeah.
You know, got a new apartment.
And then she's well, maybe I should just go to dinner. I'll just go to dinner.
Yeah.
Just
humor him. We'll just humor him. Yeah, for sure. And then, whoa, shows up with kings and queens that never were, and rogue princes and crabmen.
Yeah. Which I honestly had to look away for most of any of the crab people segments.
That's a little gooey.
I'm too squeamish for this stuff in general. Episode 1. Especially so, Jamie, are you good with the gore and the?
Yeah. I
mean, you're good with it.
I'm not in love with it, but yeah, as long as it's not leeches, you bring it. If it's a leech, I'm gonna look away. Anything else, I'm good.
So even the maggots eating the.
Yeah, I don't love it. It's not my best vision of the best thing I can see, but yeah, I can get through it.
Okay, all right, but so this first episode kind of just was back to the axe in the face, just all that stuff, face crushing, it was just. So I'm gonna be. I look away, I can't watch it. The second I see there's gonna be heavy gore like that, I look away. I can't look at it. I'm too squeamish. but there was just that interpersonal drama between kings and queens, and just like it did the thing that had us interested in the show in the first place really well, and it kind of was like, dang it, damn, I gotta watch this show now.
Yep. Yep, just right at the very beginning when we enter in the court and we just
Mm-hmm.
we fly over Westeros and we see the Red
Yes.
Keep, and it's
Yep.
just, okay, all right, okay, and then we go into that court and we start seeing that the game's already playing. And as soon as we
Mhm.
see the game, we're like, "Ooh, maybe let us in on this. We
Yes.
we might
Right.
we might wanna play too."
It's like, all right, I'll watch. I'll
Yeah,
watch.
I think
Um,
I'm gonna do this.
but honestly, the first episode was too much gore because episode 1 was legit body horror. And that's where episode 2 I loved even more, just because it was all like interpersonal drama. Like, just it was the Game of Thrones, in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, and there's just so
Oh,
much,
yeah.
like, it's a $20 million per episode soap opera in a lot of ways, and I'm here for it, you know?
Yes, yes, and we have a lot of similar personalities, though our
Yes.
characters, there's definite differences. We can mirror some of our favorite characters
Mhm.
from Game of Thrones on over,
Mhm.
into the dragons here,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what their story arcs bring us.
Yes. And okay, so this is something that I did want to talk about kind of at the top of this. And I guess I should have put up a spoiler alert. So I hope everybody knows this. We're going to be talking about episode 1 and 2 here. So spoiler alert. But again, I hopefully everybody is like, nobody turned like, no, I wanted non-spoilers. We are talking about it. But there's something even more spoilery about this. So in anticipation of doing this show, I was like, well, maybe, I saw this at Costco. I still have my Costco sticker on it.
Woo! There you go.
$13.99
That's
for
a
Fire
deal.
and Blood. So it's based off of parts of this book, and so there's this question of, okay, should I read this and will that spoil this show for me, or will I become one of those really annoying people like, well, the book's better? Um, so, Jamie, where do you side on this?
Well, newsflash, the book's always better in its own way because you're imagining it the way you want to in your brain. Um,
Exactly.
but they're different mediums, so I say you could do if you can separate both and appreciate both, do
Hmm.
both, do it. I
Hmm.
myself have not read this one,
Hmm.
and I decided that I was going to try because
Yeah.
after the second book, watching Game of Thrones, I started to
Mhm.
fall behind, and then I didn't want to switch my storylines into what Martin had written down exclusively.
Yeah.
But I kinda wanna experience the other side of this a little bit. I want a heads up on the red weddings, you know? I
Hmm.
I wanna
Yeah.
be able to have the fun of knowing other people haven't seen it and
Yep.
and and see what they think.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think, and the other thing too is like the Song of Ice and Fire is very much told like from the perspective of the different characters, and it follows
Yeah.
along in this way. And for better or worse, this is, at least from the reviews, it says it's more just like a straight history kind of book.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so my hope is, because I've decided to read this as well, is this is kind of like, just deep diving into Wikipedia. And then
Yep.
like the drama and everything will come from the show, maybe.
Well, I think something that we're looking at with this is, one, we have a different writing team,
Mhm.
that's working with Martin. He is
Yeah.
much more involved than he was the first go round.
Mhm. Yes.
For whatever purpose, he is much more involved.
Yep.
The story is already written, so no
Yep.
one has to pick up where he left off.
Yep.
And I guess he's created some sort of Bible for the show where it's like, these
Mhm.
are all of the hits you have to hit. If you don't
Yeah.
hit it, I'm not signing on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you are a fan of his storytelling and you are a
Mhm.
fan of the first half of Game of Thrones, then I would wager you're gonna like the way this one goes. Whether it reads as history or not,
Mhm.
the writers are working with the
Yes.
writer.
Yes. And it's kind of, It's a bit of Monday morning quarterbacking a little bit, I feel like, because they're doing like these press tours. Because I heard like George R. say like they didn't even talk to me the last 3 seasons or whatever. It seemed
there was like a lot of drama. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. And so, it's easy to say now. It's like, but now I'm involved the whole time, so don't worry, it's gonna be fine. But there is something. Even if that is silly on its face, even as I'm like looking at the credits, like it's like, yeah, okay, it's. I do feel like this will be different this time.
Yeah.
But is this gonna be Charlie Brown with Lucy and the football?
Ooh, let's hope not. Or the dragon egg.
Yeah, the way they were throwing it around.
It's made of tough stuff. It's all right.
Yeah, sure. I was like, you're very cavalier with this dragon egg. Okay, so Jamie, you brought up how the HBO website has done a really good job of giving guides for people on this. So if you go to hbo.com/House of the Dragon /official guide, they give you like a full-on character guide. It's tough when there are so many, especially like House Targaryen, like the Aegons, the Daegons, the Bygons,
the Rhaenyras, the Rayons, like everyone's the same.
So it does get really tricky. But so, so you have Daemon. Is it Daemon? Daemon Targaryen.
Daemon, yep.
And then you got Emma. Is it Emma? Aaron. She died horrifically.
She certainly did.
And then so we got Rhaenyra.
Yes.
Rhaenyra. And then Balon passed away. And then we got Alicent. And we got Otto Hightower. We haven't met Hobart Hightower yet. Hobart.
Not yet.
And then Daenerys is who we saw at the beginning. That's the one that had the succession issue. And then we got Rhaenys Targaryen.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
Okay, and with these guys, they have this family has a much further back history even than our Targaryens. So if you do not read the books or haven't checked it out, just go look up the lineage. I'm sure that there's like 50 million different Reddit threads that cover this. But it's the oldest family, I believe, like in the book.
And so I like this interpersonal drama here for the Targaryens, which obviously this is like a succession. The whole thing is like a succession drama, right? It's kind of pulled from history a little bit. And then you've got House Hightower here. You got the small council, and I think that's about it. But I at least I think it's important for us as we talk about these characters. These are the ones that are the major players here in these early episodes between Viserys and Daemon, and then Rhaenyra, who is named the heir, and then Alicent Hightower, who's Otto Hightower's daughter, and is it Laena Valeron? Is the very too young daughter that was like betrothed to be wed, but
the 12-year-old future wife.
Yeah, at least I was like, Viserys is like, I don't feel comfortable with this.
Oh my gosh, I know. And if you think about some of the kings and some of the men that we've seen in these stories, it was refreshing to see one go, no,
I'm not okay with this.
That's not all right.
And honestly, it is kind of like I really like the character of the series just because he seems like a good person. Like it's the being a king was thrust upon him. It wasn't his choice. He didn't seek it out. And these kind of bad events befall him. And now he's trying to make the best of the situation. There's a lot of people kind of vying for power around him. And so it's hard not to feel bad or sympathy for this king because clearly we know Game of Thrones isn't going to end well for him.
No, there's not a great ending for this family. But what I do love is they're making it very clear that even though there is some mistakes that he's already made.
Mhm.
Like you said, this position of power wasn't something he was seeking.
Mhm.
He was not driven to have power.
Yeah.
And so when he comes to a place and tries to make these like really big decisions for the
Mhm.
realm, he really is he really does stop and think about the realm. And I think that is something that he has handed down to his daughter inadvertently, where she was not seeking power. It's
Mhm.
not something that she was more supportive. If
Mhm.
anything, maybe
Yeah.
wants dad's approval,
Mhm.
but not she isn't driven for this role,
Mhm.
but she's suited for it,
Yeah.
much like her father.
Yeah. And and yeah, this is a really good point, Nick Dillinger. When you remember that good people never last long on Game of
No. Mm-mm. No.
Thrones. But at least they're telegraphing it in this case with his nick that they had in the last episode. And there was a time jump here of 6 months.
Yes.
Um, but clearly, disinfectant wasn't available back then. They used maggots to clean it here.
No.
Um, clearly the finger's gonna have to be, or the pinky's gonna have to be cut off. But
Well,
what?
it's a little smushy. It's
Oh,
it's not
oh.
gonna do its job anymore.
But yeah, I think it's just I see the conflict that's happening, and it makes, what I like is, since they're showing it so extensively for this character, the choice to choose Alicent as his wife to be, as opposed to the
Yes.
Valerian child, makes sense, because this isn't, he doesn't have that mindset of, okay, what's the politically
R
motivated best move,
right.
you
And
know?
and maybe he should be a little bit
Sure.
more,
Yeah.
on but I kind of feel like he does notice that there's political moves being made, and I think
Yes.
that ultimately was is what pushes him away from it even further, because it's just not how he operates, and he wants to be far away from somebody who is trying to,
Yeah.
uh, search for any power or foothold.
Mhm.
And here he has this young woman that he is friends with.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're showing a very romantic narrative, though her
No.
father, I think, is certainly
Oh,
had a
he's
hand
pushing.
in pushing it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Um, but I think he sees her as a companion and a friend and,
Mhm.
an equal in some ways, and that
Yeah.
he can trust her. And I think right now
Exactly.
he's really needing to feel trust.
Well, I mean, he lost his brother, who, even though he knows his brother is, an idiot, but at
Yes.
least he, that again, I like that this character is so, like, true of heart in a lot of ways, where it's like we're used to these people on the throne are vying for the throne, backstab and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. He's like,
Mhm.
well, no, it's my brother. I know he's an idiot, but he's my brother, and and um and it wasn't until, his brother said that awful thing about his kid. He was like, all right, I love you, but we're done, like,
Yeah.
I can't let this stand.
Yep.
And and even so, there is that lack of that lack of confidant. Now he's lost his wife, he's kind of estranged from his daughter, and this person, listen, is the only person that he probably feels comfortable having clearly, that's what we're seeing. And so it all makes sense. But even when he said it, I was like, oh, you idiot.
Yep, yep. You've stirred the pot in the wrong direction, and also it's your daughter's best friend. Did you think of
Yes.
that maybe, like, when you had this little, like, convo and she was like, "Anyone you marry would be lucky to have you because 'cause you're wonderful, wonderful dad." Could you have been like, "Okay, so here's the thing I was thinking. Hear me out." Like, any heads up. No, we're just nope, no. So, here we are, a teenager who is, like,
Why are
in
you mad? Why are you mad?
yeah.
You get to hang out with your
You're
best friend
with
mom now.
your best friend's mom person who's gonna have children. I don't know, it's just crazy. Oh, by the way, when she has kids, get out. Like,
Yes.
yeah, like, could you not have maybe discussed that? I mean, just a little
Mhm.
bit,
Just just a little bit.
skimmed the notes maybe?
Oh, and by the way, I'm choosing your best friend. Bye. Okay, bye.
Yeah, that was
Um,
a small council party is what that was.
yeah. Nick Dillinger, Smash or Pass Dad Edition. Oops, I wasn't joking. Bring something seriously, such an idiot. I mean, maybe even try opening up to your daughter instead. Yeah, I know.
Yes.
Um, Bessie's like, no, 12 is too young. How about 16 or whatever? Yeah,
Yeah, she's like 15 years old. Like, it's a
but again,
little
it's
better.
at least they, I think they casted 20-year-olds for these two roles, the young versions
Yeah,
of these characters.
thankfully in both series we are aging our characters up
Yes.
by a lot.
Yes.
By a lot.
But so I think that's good casting where the one who's like, it's too young. She's supposed to be 12, but she looks like she's 8. So it just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yes, yes.
Um,
No,
and
she looks
so,
super, super young. But
yeah, yeah,
I've got to say, one of the things that I really liked about all of this with him having to pick the wife and
yeah,
we've got the hand Otto, as we talked about, kind
yes,
of pushing his daughter, and it was
yeah,
very reminiscent of what Daenerys was going through
yes,
with her brother trying to like push her into a
yeah,
place of power so that he
mhm,
could gain power, and
yeah,
how the women in this realm are really used as pawns rather than allowed to have positions that matter.
yeah. No, I think, um, yeah, it's again, it is set in what would be in a modern history equivalent of what the was it the War of the Roses is what is
Yes. Yep.
point to the original Game of Thrones. So
Yes.
before that, or so medieval times or whatever, what have you. So, or War of the Roses is 1700s. I don't know. I have to refresh my history there. But
All
anyway,
we know is that turkey legs were there and they probably had grog. That time
um,
period.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, it's a dumb decision. It's clearly going to have significant ramifications, and he's probably does he cut off his finger? It's very reminiscent of not Gandalf. I'm thinking of his name now. What's the one from Harry Potter?
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. Thank you. Good lord. When he does the Horcrux and his hand gets like all
Yeah, gets
half
the little
dead or
gross
whatever.
hand. Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of
Grab my
being like
gross
that.
hand. Yep.
Yeah. Don't forget about the Pepsi and lack of utensils. Uh, good call out. That is one of my favorite movies of all time. The Cable Guy is one of my favorite movies.
Yes. It's a
Um,
fun one.
but so anyways, yeah, I think it's just it's dumb. So anyway, let's talk about Damon for a little bit in this episode.
Oh, that troublemaker.
Yeah. I kind of Matt Smith is the perfect casting for this character.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And on that note, I
Yes.
have to tell you that one of our viewers actually sent me a message and you'll know who it is immediately
Uh-huh.
when I am supposed to tell you that Matt Smith has the vibe of someone who would cheat at Fireball Island and then I'm supposed to tell you that I'm supposed to look at you meaningful at that point in a meaningful way.
Okay, okay.
Okay. That'd be from Dan B of Wisconsin.
I've never cheated at Fireball Island, so you go to hell, Dan. But anyway, Matt Smith
Oh, he's great.
is chewing up every millisecond
Yes.
that he is on screen, and I am here for it. It is amazing.
It is amazing what a man can accomplish when you remove his eyebrows.
That's what's holding him back.
It's all there. It's just freedom now, baby.
And so I love it. It's so Macbeth. It's so
Yes.
Shakespearean of this. Or for those that love Disney, Lion King. Of
Yeah.
this
Some scar action. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely,
Mhm.
just the heir to never be. And just it is, I don't know, his scenes are so fantastic. Yeah, Matt Smith is trading the line perfectly between a smug a-hole but low-key has feelings. And so I wonder, what, I mean, I think we kind of know where this is going, right? He's going to try to usurp the throne or something like that. That's
Oh yeah, there's trouble brewing
yes.
because right now everybody's sitting at this.
Mhm.
Well, I know that they're A, B, or C, but they're family.
Mhm.
And I know that but they're family. And pretty soon, the family thing isn't gonna be enough.
Yeah,
It's
it's not gonna
not gonna
hold.
be enough.
Yeah.
No. But
Um,
I've gotta say, it's a pretty ballsy move to, say, "Hey, I'm getting married tomorrow. You're invited. By the way, I've got this egg, tossing it in with the baby. Oh, yep, she's pregnant."
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Because he knew they'd show up.
yeah, exactly. And that's, and Thiago, love this guy, loving the acting in the show, Otto of the series, especially. Yeah. And what I love about Otto is he's just so reserved and so like the prototypical, right hand to the king or whatever,
Yes.
an aide de camp, like whatever that person is, he is playing it perfectly.
Yeah, he feels a little Lannister-y,
Yes.
honestly, to me,
Yeah.
like, he's very clever
Mm-hmm.
and maybe somewhat, wise. At least he knows the wise things to say,
Yes.
but there's just this little play that's happening behind his eyes and these little moves being made.
Mm-hmm.
You see him in the back of a scene kind of observing what's going on,
Yes.
and it's like there's something more. There's something
Mm-hmm.
more that's gonna come from this because there's no way this man is sitting on everything and not making a move himself.
Absolutely. And we're seeing it, right? Like he's pushing his daughter off to be with the king, which is then going to, extend his line and his influence
Yeah,
beyond just being the
yeah.
hand of the king.
Wear
Because
wear wear that dress. Wear your mom's dress.
right? And there is clearly, but I like how they're also showing he feels powerless in different times on the council. So he's playing his own game of like getting more power or fighting for
Yeah.
more power
Yep.
in the and just like how his character's portrayed on screen, the most subtle way out of all of the moves.
Yeah.
And
Do we have a little Baelish in there too? Like
yes.
you kind of have like stay in the background and let the big players make the moves and just kind of be in
Mhm.
the ears of the big players?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So what we're
Um,
saying is he'd probably be pretty good in Survivor. He knows how to do this.
probably. Yes, exactly. It's just be in the background, not present enough to like get voted out,
Yeah. Let them fight
Um,
each other.
exactly. Charlie Weaver, this isn't the Fast and the Furious people. Family hits different in this series, literally. Boomstick Saint, I like this call out. Damon is like a cross between Jamie Lannister and Ramsay Bolton. Kind of, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like just
there's many times I saw Jamie in this.
mm-hmm. And then but there's also like just that crazy, like that just,
Yep.
don't know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
There's a touch of psychopath in there. Just sprinkling of it.
It's just a little bit, just a little sprinkled on the top. And I'm already playing on it. What's the daughter's? Is it Raseries? What's her name?
Which
The
daughter are we talking about?
the queen to be or whatever. Heir, his daughter, Viserys' daughter.
Oh, you mean Rihanna? Is that what you're
Rihanna?
talking about? Rihanna?
Is that her name? Rihanna? I don't even know what her
Yeah.
name is.
Yeah, we've got Rihanna, but then we've got her aunt who would be Rainey. These
Rain.
names are all so close. There's like one vowel difference. Chime in if it's wrong.
Oh my god. Yeah, Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra. And it's literally like this name repeats in the lineage like 13 times. I mean it's everywhere.
But I love the interplay between Damon and Rhaenyra from the first episode.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I love how the Damon and Otto confrontation
Yes.
was so like, oh my god, all these people are going to die, and this is the start of the war.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like,
Yep.
is this happening already? Okay.
Yeah,
But
are we already going there?
but then Rhaenyra shows up on her dragon and just basically shuts him up.
Yeah, because she's been trying to talk sense to the small council for a week
Yes.
now. And
Yes.
every time they're like, just bring us our cups and hush
Yes.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole time she's like, guys, like I can go deal with this because the two of them, though he's the uncle,
Mhm.
I think that they're close enough in age and
Mhm.
understanding in the family that they have a shared point of view on a lot of
Yes.
issues.
Yep.
Um, one might be a little bit more loony than the other in the long run,
Sure.
but these two, they have a lot of shared thoughts. They get
Mhm.
along. They see each other for who they are.
Yep. And they're very similar. They're in similar places, right? Like he was
Yeah,
the heir to never be, and she's kind of in a similar spot.
yeah. Every
So,
time she's gonna have the opportunity, it's gonna
mhm.
go away. It's gonna be
Yep.
taken from her.
Mhm. And so I love that interplay. I love the basic, just like kill me if you want to kill me. And he's like, ah, fine,
Yeah.
just egg, and just
It's
like
like,
that's it.
This isn't what I wanted. Didn't see this happening.
And I at that point I was just like, if I was in that King's Watch, I'd be like, my queen, I'm following you. Let's
Right,
go.
right. She clearly knows what she's doing. I
Yes.
mean, as much as a child is gonna know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it helps when you have, like, big dragons, though, right? Could you imagine her
Sure.
just, like, huffing and puffing up those stairs, like, on her feet? Like, it wouldn't have it would no, it wouldn't have by the time she got there, like, having to stop
Mm-hmm.
and being like,
Yeah.
"Okay, no, you gotta have a dragon." If you have a dragon, it will nearly almost always work.
Yeah. Yep. Brick asks, is there Targaryen tension between those two? Are we already going to get into the incestuous tendencies of the Targaryens with this?
The I think that there's not
I haven't
necessarily
sensed that.
I don't think there's necessarily a tension, but it is really important to Tigerians to keep their bloodline intact.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything, I could see something happening, in order to enact, their duty to continue
Mm-hmm.
a bloodline that might, start killing each other off, may or may
Yeah.
not. But I don't think that there's any, like, Jamie Cersei
Yeah.
attraction.
Yeah. I didn't get those vibes either, but who the hell knows with this show, right? I mean,
And we know it can go there.
exactly. There is a history.
Yeah,
RJ Bonacorsi really enjoy political scheming and power playing, similar to Game of Thrones with characters like Varys, Littlefinger, Tywin, and co. Some great scenes. Absolutely. That's
yep,
when it's at, to me, is when it's at its best, is when there's like just
I
that
agree.
the scheming between each other. And it didn't work so great once it's like, oh, the queen's just gonna murder everybody. That's when it was just like,
Yeah,
oh, it doesn't
it's
really.
like, "Wait,
Wait,
no."
what?
That's like running the red light, you know? It's just
Yeah.
nah.
I missed this comment here. I wanted to buzz in and I forgot, but Charlie Weaver, this is a maybe comment of the night. I mean, we all knew Littlefinger wasn't going to be in the series. Heyo, puns for days in regards to the Kings. Littlefinger.
The gooey, the smushy finger.
I mean, it's just, I get it's in olden times, and this is like the best thing they had available to him. Which you said leeches are the one thing you can't watch. I'm
Mm,
surprised they didn't try to
mm.
leech him.
There was leeches in the other one, and I'm sure leeches will make an appearance. Like, TV
Mhm.
loves to throw a leech on somebody.
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah.
thing. But this brings up a question.
Okay.
Now, this question is either we have missed something or maybe it was just faulty writing and connection. But, when he has this sore on his back and they were talking
Hmm.
about that, oh, we might have to cauterize it, like that might be
Hmm.
an option.
Yeah.
But it was made like in redundance in the first series that Tigerians are essentially fireproof.
Hmm. Ah, yeah. Hmm.
So what are they gonna cauterize this guy with, for
Ooh.
heaven's sakes?
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, they do have a lot of dragons, so I'm sure that they can get, like, dragon fire or something, but, I mean,
Get
it
that
just seemed
extra heat.
it just seemed like a funny line if they weren't
Yeah.
trying to be like, "Oh, by the way, that
Hmm.
that wasn't in the books, and we're rewriting that."
Yeah.
Like, that's what
Yeah.
it felt like to me.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. I didn't notice that because honestly, I was like, ugh, gross thing. I'm gonna look away. So
You were busy dry heaving in the corner, it's fine.
again, episode one was gross. There's a lot of gross in that.
Mhm.
Um, And Boomstick, it looks like the series is going to have a similar issue as last couple seasons of Game of Thrones, where they basically teleporting all over met. That didn't bother me personally as much as just kind of the plot jumping that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But I understand that criticism.
Yeah.
Grievous is here, welcome. But what was your thoughts on the teleporting, like going from place to place? Seemingly, they're jumping. There was 6 months between the last episode and this episode, so clearly they don't mind jumping time.
Well, I don't mind that we are jumping locations much faster than they would be in real time. Simply because unless there is things happening in that travel that are incredibly important to our storyline, it is just a waste of time and film and money. If there are things that are supposed to happen on this road trip, then yes, obviously we want those things included. But when you're looking at a series that we jump 6 months, and I mean, probably before the end of this season, we're jumping years
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean,
So
it's
we're
in the
having like a
trailers.
cast change,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, are we going to go through this sort of like the Crown does, where we're every, so often we're going to have a generation jump?
Yeah.
There's a lot of story that has been told already in 2 episodes. So at some point they're going to just put on the brakes and slow things down a lot. Maybe we'll get more road trips then.
But yeah, it is very different from the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, where like they went on like the travel to King's Landing for like 10 episodes.
No, I mean, Arya was on foot for 90% of her storyline. She was running into all sorts of people and affecting things and crossing people off her list. So
yeah. Let's see. How can they bring back Dead Mountain but can't heal an infection? Worst healthcare ever. Can't keep you alive, but can kind of bring you back afterwards.
Well, I mean, technology advanced a lot in those 200 years.
This is roughly 170 years before.
Yeah. Yes. Otherwise, they could have like made more like zombie mountains out of all their like body parts when the Kingsguard went policing, and.
Oh, true. Good point.
Yeah.
Nick Dillinger, they got Palm Desert blood running through them. Charlie Weaver, they could chemically cauterize maybe. Those maesters are the doctors nobody wants.
Facts.
Okay, so I have been present for 2 of both of my children's births. It's an incredible experience. I cried. It was just such a moving thing to see a human give birth to another human, especially 2 humans that I love more than anything. But the C-section, whatever you want to call it, was brutal. Jamie, like from a circle of an actual person that gives birth to people, what was your thoughts on that?
I see things like this in film, and every time I'm just like, oh, thank God I was born now. Like, thank God, because the idea of, I mean, giving birth in those times, fiction or not, was a life-threatening event.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But then on top of it, to see, our first introduction to this man is like, well, we're probably going to lose both of them, so you can make a choice and maybe save one of them, but it's definitely going to make you lose her. And it just immediately, this man's in some sort of sick turmoil, and then we have to like watch it happen, and we know with the little interaction we've got that they do care about each other. This isn't just an arranged marriage with no feelings. There's real love there. So it was torment on the physical aspect of everything, but then there was also this just grief and anguish that was like, I am in the first episode already, and I'm just like, oh my God. This is a lot.
Absolutely. It was heartbreaking. It did that thing Game of Thrones does, where it just hits you on a level that few other things hit you, but especially that one. I think for me, still the Red Wedding is still the one that just gave me nightmares.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
That's still up there, but this was just such a brutal introduction, or not, but just like to really, you know, just bring you into that world. And but you know, Colleen's such a badass. She was like watching it and being fun. I was like, just let me know when it's over.
She's like, oh, come on.
And that was honestly after our second son was born. She couldn't use any she couldn't do an epidural or anything. She had to do it natural. We didn't plan
Yeah, it was
for
a rough one.
It was a rough one. I called it the exorcism birth. It was insane. But she's such a badass. She like did it, and then she's like, I could do that again. And I was like, I can't.
I can't. Don't put me through it again.
I didn't give birth. Anyway.
Can I just zoom in? Can I just zoom in? Just do a Zoom meeting? Can we just like, would that be okay?
Yeah. I was just like, were we at different births?
It's amazing what all of that, you know, all of that Pitocin will do to your brain and make you forget.
Right, I've heard that. There's like you kind of forget it or whatever.
Yeah, nature is tricky. So tricky.
I haven't forgotten it though. But,
you were not given any Pitocin.
I didn't. I should just. I need some milk with a poppy. That's what I needed.
That's what you needed. Well, okay, so you have all of this happening, but then also Viserys shared with us like the day before about the dream that he had. And remember, like dreams to Targaryens are as good as prophecies. Like they are, they're church, you know? So, you know, he's terrified that he's not going to have the heir that he sees in his dreams, and that he thinks he already made this decision.
Yeah.
You know, because he sees this son, so it's like, I already made this decision. I have to do it.
Yeah.
And then we pan over to the next day, and then we see the baby is also wrapped, and it's like, no, oh my God.
That was a gut punch, you know?
Yeah.
It's a gut punch. And
happy times up there.
But I think what is maybe brought me so far back into this is just, you know, Game of Thrones season 1, you had the, you know, Ned Stark, who was like the one good guy, and everybody else was awful.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just to me, there's just a lot, maybe, I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot more like, you know, earnestness and like, and maybe because it's just the series is playing it to such a, you know, and their love was real. There was just so much of like, real versus the machinations of the Game of Thrones, which is still here. Like it's still present. But all the relationships seem to have more weight to them, like the Daemon and his brother, or Daemon and why am I blanking on her stupid name again? Rhaenyra.
There you go.
Rhaenyra. There it is.
Like a champion. You've got it. You just got to say it enough times it rolls. You know.
But the relationship between Rhaenyra and Daemon, just like it all feels very real and not like, yes, there's political motivations, but there's like real relationship stakes behind them too. So I was like, I could just kill you because I want to win, you know? Like there's
underneath everything there's family. And if you look back, even this is something that Martin does do really, really well. That he can move political players in a field of family members that still like they'll deflect and defend at the right angle because they always have one family member to protect. Like you see it in every single family, they have one other person they have to protect. And Cersei's, you know, Cersei had her kids, she loses her kids, she kind of starts to maybe try to protect Jaime, backs away, and then everything goes to hell for her. And then you know, Jaime is, you know, got Tyrion, and it's like everybody has the one person in the family that they have to turn and try to protect a little bit. But he can also write it in this way that is like real family fights and drama and love, and then just flip it. And when he flips it, like there's no lines. Like it's we're flipping 100%, baby. Like, yeah, I know I love my nieces and nephews. Stab, stab, stab. Like He holds nothing back.
But I think what has helped him in that is like basing it off of history, like early British history or whatever. Like
Yes.
having that kind of basis or template to kind of follow. I don't know how much it's informed. He said it as such, like it's kind of based off of this time period in like British history or whatever.
Yep.
So there is this formula, and it does kind of inform like this is, and maybe that's what just makes it so human, because it just feels like very much power corrupts and all of these things. Even though it's this mythological tale, it feels very real. Even though there's
Yeah,
dragons and crazy stuff.
exactly. And
It's very real.
he doesn't dwell too deeply into, I mean, there are some characters obviously that, are very, very in the magic when you have like the
Mhm.
White Walkers
Sure.
and the Red Lady, and there's
Yep.
definitely these lines,
Mhm.
but it's like the magic in the storylines always kind of stay with the same magic people
Mhm.
in a way.
Mhm. Yep.
The real like the real mythic creature in all of his stories is power.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
like The Ring,
Yeah.
it's that lust for power, and it
Mhm.
just drives everybody into the wrong direction
Yes,
almost
yeah,
every time.
absolutely. It just and that's, I guess, the moral of the tale, right? The Game of Thrones, you either win or you die, but
Yeah,
say you win, like, you're probably still like, there's no happy ending.
yeah, girl, you can try to break that wheel, but it's gonna roll over you, like,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's just that's
Um
how it's built.
Yep, exactly. We have some callbacks to the Red Wedding. Basic point from the Red Wedding is that we didn't get the Gray Lady hashtag HR Grump and stuff. Yeah, they never got to that. I kind of get why they didn't do it in the show though, like the Caitlyn
Yes,
Stark, you
yep,
know, Gray Lady thing. But I get it. It's kind of like, was it Tom Bombadil from the Lord of the Rings? And never did the
yes,
character. Like, you didn't do
yeah.
Tom Bombadil. But I
But where does it project our story,
yeah, I'm gonna make a confession right here. And I feel like this is a safe place. This isn't we're not talking about the new Lord of the Rings show. I generally, if I read a book before a movie, I prefer the book almost always. The only time
Sure,
that wasn't the case was Lord of the Rings. I was bored out
yes.
of my mind with Lord of the Rings.
Okay, you know what? I am right on board with you because here's
Really?
the thing.
Okay.
Tolkien is an amazing writer, but he is incredibly detailed. And
Oh,
anybody who can go for 3 pages giving me the bit by bit detail of a brick wall,
yes.
um, I confessions, I've got ADD, and there's no way I'm hanging in for that. My brain went 50 different places in 3
Yes.
pages. So, The Hobbit, yeah, I followed that one pretty
Yeah,
darn well,
Hobbits. Yeah, I can handle the Hobbit.
You bet, but diving into The Lord of the Rings was hard, and that is a challenge that Martin's books face too because,
Mhm.
um, ea each chapter being like a one character chapter, and then we get
Mhm.
into it, and then we switch to another
Yes.
character. If you're
Mhm.
not somebody who can jump this way, it's gonna be hard to follow a storyline. It
Yeah.
just is, and
Yeah.
and for those of you who think, well, I'll just listen to the books on tape or, MP3. Uh, it's even harder because you don't see the name spelt out, so you you don't know which character you're talking about because all of their names sound the same,
That's
and
a good
that one
point.
vowel matters.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's very true. Yeah, Hobbit easier, yeah, but good Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I remember. I just usually there's a movie coming out. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get the book, and so the Lord of the Rings movies are coming. I was like, all right, I know this is a book series I should read. So I got like
Gotcha,
the
yeah.
big, collected illustrated version from like 1990 or whatever. I
Oh,
went to
yeah.
Barnes and
Mhm.
Noble. I went and I bought it, and I was like, all right, here we go, let's go. And then I was just like, same thing. Like, how can you spend 10 pages on a tree, Tolkien?
Yeah.
A
Yep.
tree.
A tree, but you wanna know what? That led to the ability for the films to be top notch from the
You're right.
top to the bottom in detail, so
Mhm.
amen.
Yep. Indeed, indeed. And then they kinda lost away with just somehow making The Hobbit into 3. They almost, like, reverse Tolkien engineered it to be like, "Let's let's take this really nice compact story
Yes,
and stretch it
that's
out."
exactly what happened. That's a great yeah.
Um, I love this comment from Overman. I've enjoyed George R. R. Martin's insistence that that prophecy is almost always meaningless nonsense that should never guide policy. Amen, Overman.
Yeah, and I like that we did get to hear about the prophecy with Arian and the, like, okay, so they're waiting for this like end of the world scenario. They're talking about White Walkers, right? Like they're talking about this. They're 200 years behind. I mean, they think I think it's a really great reflection on modern day man too. Every generation thinks their generation is going to be the one that sees the apocalypse. So they're literally teaching and training their heirs to uphold this and be ready and be on guard for it. So
no,
but I think it brings some interesting connections down the road for having the Night's Watch and.
Yep. Yeah, it makes sense why. Okay, they're doing this thing. Okay, so the king knows like the truth or whatever, and that's why this is a thing. So, no church and state. And let's be honest, we take all the food, lineage, and fashion descriptions. Game of Thrones would be much shorter, but I love the food and fashion descriptions.
There is that.
And that is true. Like I hear, except in the end, winter came per prophecy, and they weren't ready. So
they weren't. They had a lot of time, and they were still like, "What? Really?"
But maybe that's where like prophecy meets up with like reality. Climate change. Anyone like there's like maybe there's just like this impending doom that.
Like I'm just saying, we've been saying winter is coming for like 200 years.
Yeah.
Are you shocked?
I see what George R. R. Martin. So he flipped it. It was like, oh, it's getting hotter. It's just, winter.
We're going with winter. Meta my ass. We're going
winter. Let's see. That was an interesting thing about the original Game of Thrones series. Azor Ahai was never really mentioned. That they completely danced around the prince who promised prophecy. Remember the Dragonstone had the cave paintings underneath of the White Walkers. So did the Targaryens. No, I guess they clearly did, right? So Charlie Weaver. Sounds familiar.
I do love though that when we see the little power struggle that's happening for all of the women in the realm.
Yes.
That when we go into that whole the prince was promised, there was so much talk about princess that was promised or princess that was promised. It's like, Lord, that's probably what it was for reals, because here they are like, we can't have a girl sit on that pointy throne. Like, no way.
She's too dainty and soft and flowery.
This manly king cut himself into mushy fingers. Like, can't let a lady sit. Yeah, they're already planning this.
But what? Especially the patriarchy's on full display here. Like, I was like, I guess I'm a king. I guess I gotta marry this 12-year-old to keep this whole system in place alive.
Whoopsie-doo.
Like, okay. But thoughts here on the interplay between the queen that never was and I'm messing up her name again. Rhaenyra.
Let it flow. There you go.
Rhaenyra.
Rhaenyra.
I'm just gonna put a post-it note right here.
So we had Rhaeny and Rhaenyra.
I love the interplay between them. Just like this experience.
Loved it.
Listen, they bypassed me. They're gonna bypass you. Just so you know. Like, thoughts on that scene there.
That honestly, that was my favorite scene on the first two episodes.
Yeah.
Because that, first of all, the delivery and the performance was superb. But did it not like pull all of that magic from like every like Cersei Sansa conversation that we had? It was, and then being that it's in the same place where we're in the same city, and it's like, damn, when she's right, like she is right, and then Rhaenyra's kind of given her version of like I'm gonna break the wheel and I'm gonna be the I can do this.
Yes.
And she's like, hey, that would be great, but it's not gonna happen. And just to see how much just behind behind her eyes how much pain she's suffered because of having it constantly toyed in front of her and know that
Mhm.
she can't grab for it because
Yeah.
it's just a game. And
Yep.
now she's throwing her own daughter into it.
Yeah.
Her, like, little teeny tiny,
Yeah.
smaller than a normal 12-year-old daughter.
And that conversation happens as she's watching this, like, betrothal
Yes.
conversation go down. Like,
Yeah.
that's
That's
the
a
scene that this is happening within.
that's so many ouch, ouch, ouches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
I do think that was my favorite scene in the 2 episodes.
yeah. It had weight to it. It was relevant to the immediate story. It was relevant to the larger story. And it just hit on so many levels. And again, I gotta say, like, watch, we're gonna be here 5 years from now, whenever this thing is, like, damn it, they did it to us again. We hate it.
Ugh!
The pieces and just
The
the way
wrath!
everything's set up's just so good right now. Just like, this is great.
Yeah, we really do have a lot of great things that are starting to move forward. The crab the crab
Oh
guy
God.
is super grody, creepy, like,
Hmm.
a little Pirates of the Caribbean maybe,
Yes. Yes.
but that's what happens when grow coral on your face or whatever he's struggling with. I mean, like, some Noxema maybe. I don't know.
Just clear that
Something's
right up.
rough.
Clear right up.
Something's not working out for him. So I guess I can understand where he's like, "You know what? To the crabs." Like, he's just so mad, like, "Screw it. I'm feeding everybody to the crabs." But,
Oh.
to kinda see where that goes and, like, there's
Ooh.
battles building for the
Yes.
for the
Hmm.
stepstones,
Yep.
and yeah, we've got some interesting things moving forward.
Yeah. And more time jumps to come, and more yeah, old old barnacle face.
Old barnacle face. That's it. Yep.
But they're creepy. They are creepy. I just
Yeah.
really creeping me out. Really, really creeping me out.
It fit really well because the very first thing that I viewed on the World Wide Web today
Uh-huh.
was a video clip, and it says, "Why crabs are bad," and it's this crab that runs up to a baby sea turtle that just
I
came out
saw
of the
the
dirt.
same thing
It's
today.
like and it just grabs it and like, scuttles off, and I'm like, "They
Yes.
are bad."
I, mine was slightly different. Mine, a friend of mine, Danny Bogue, posted it on Twitter. I think it's just like, this is why it's okay to eat crabs, and then just
Yes!
it comes up and takes the baby turtle and takes it away. I was like, "F you, crab! That's a cute baby turtle."
Yeah. They're like the vicious, mean spiders of the sea, am I right? Like, they're not our friends.
Boy,
It's
I'm
so mean.
alive.
Anybody who's chasing down baby turtles, mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-mm, mm-mm. You're done.
I
You're
I
done.
do have a question for you because
Okay.
I am curious to know, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on the opening credits?
Ooh, yes. I'm glad we're touching about this before we just finish it. Okay. I love having the song back. I love that. And I
I
know
do too.
this opening is important, probably, but I kind of miss it being a map. I was like, I want to see where the map is, where everybody is. So, but
Yeah.
I did dig it though. I did dig it. I'm glad it's here. What's your thoughts?
Okay. Upon first viewing and thinking of it, I was like, I'm totally cool with our original song coming back in. It's so
Mhm.
great. And
Yes.
truth be told, if I had any actual complaints going in to either episode, it's not that I dislike the music that we are getting as part of the score. I don't. It's beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah.
But um there are notes, there are certain formations that feel
Mhm.
very Westworld to me, and
Ooh,
my
okay.
brain just kind of goes into the Westworld theme.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I was really glad that we actually got the GOT theme coming in because
Mhm.
I was a little nervous that we were gonna really be like sharing that almost.
Mhm.
Um, but the animation of the opening scene. Okay. At first I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's like blood.
Mhm.
And I mean, okay, I was sort of underwhelmed. It's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
But then I did a little research and now I have so much more appreciation for this
See,
opening scene.
because there's a moment in this episode where they reference some, blood thing or something. Like, oh, is that what this opening is? Like, all right, so
Well,
inform me. What's the deal?
okay.
What's the deal?
I think that this is something who the fans that are readers, the fans that
Mhm.
have gone through these books, I think that they are probably going to immediately appreciate it more than somebody who isn't. Um, because obviously we kind of know the ties about the blood and the importance
Mhm.
of the bloodline.
Yeah.
But I did notice without looking it up that it looked like Old Valyria is what the
Yes.
blood was going through the streets of
Mhm.
Old Valyria. Now, each of the symbols that it comes up on is different characters. So rather than different houses,
Yes.
we're getting different characters. So each character
Mhm.
is represented by a symbol,
Yeah.
um, and each event. Now we did
Mhm.
have the events happen on the original, but we've got the Doom of Old is the very first one that the blood hits, and
Uh-huh.
then it goes to Aegon the Conqueror symbol with like the
Oh, okay.
dragon.
Yeah.
Um, and then it goes to Rhaenyra's, and it's the same symbol as her necklace that Daemon
Uh-huh.
gives her.
Yeah.
And then there's a few more that nobody's been able to figure out what they are yet.
Okay.
But then we've got King Jahir and Queen Alessani. They separate, like they come together
Mhm.
and then separate. So it's
Yeah.
symbolizing like what happened there.
Yeah.
Um, but the cool part is that the characters that have died become submerged. So I think just like in the Game of Thrones opening credit,
Mhm.
where you would get different houses build up when we start introducing other houses,
Yes.
I
Mhm.
think as characters get killed off, they're going to go underneath and they're going to be submerged in the blood.
Awesome. See, that's cool. That's really cool.
That made it way more fun for me
Yeah.
too. So
And again, that's what I liked about the original one. It's just kind of no matter what, it was setting the scene in a way. It was almost like a previously on, just like, okay, we're getting you set, brought you into the universe, getting you ready to go.
yep,
When you have
yep.
blood of Valyria flowing down the tree. So yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. Brick, something is the model in the intro sequence meant to be the one that Viserys was playing with? And did you get Jay and his Castle Grayskull vibes when Viserys was playing with his? Love that, Brick, something. That's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Jamie, final thoughts on these two episodes before we go to screen memes.
I'm still like all in. I was so tiptoeing up to this, but oh
Yes.
god, it's 2 episodes in and I'm all like, "Is it Sunday yet?" So,
Yeah,
and
exactly. Right.
it's so exciting to know like, "Oh,
Yes.
Sunday TV, it's back, baby."
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, there's this also HBO Max. The new CEO of HBO Max is being a big a-hole. So it's like, do I even want to support this jerk of a
Yes.
CEO? So I'm like,
They
God,
always
stick. And I was like, I'm such a sucker. I'm like, nope. All right, I guess I'm here. Let's go.
I'm here. I'm here for it.
I want Batgirl, damn it. But okay, I guess I'll watch this. Um, okay. Jamie, you are this is your first time doing a Geek Dad Life TV show review, and something we like to do at the end of
Yes.
these is a segment we call Screen Memes. Now, I don't know if we have a good one for Game of Thrones yet. So if anybody has a good suggestion for Screen Memes, but for Game of Thrones, let me know. So because in like the Obi-Wan streams that we did, we called it tattoo memes, like Tatooine, and then Stranger Things was
Hilarious.
Stranger Memes. So
Look at
if you've
you.
got a good pun for memes in Game of Thrones somewhere, like Meme of Thrones, but I feel like it's too whatever. Sunday TV is Geek Out Life. You're right. It is a big night for Geek Out Life with toy geeks and all of that. But do what I do, just watch it the next day. And then
There you go.
we hang out here on Monday nights. Okay. So we bring up memes from the episodes. We're going to do that right now. I want to thank Kayla Silva, who did all of the work for me today on bringing in these memes. So first one up, point of view. You're listening to Game of Thrones intro theme song on the House of Dragons. And then you just beep, the beep is dead because it's so good. Anyway, moving on. Me watching this scene. Rhaenyra, did I do it right?
You
Rhaenyra?
did it.
Oh, thank God. When she comes into the scene, it is badass. And then, yeah, to me, that's cinema. So good. So good. And I don't know who said it earlier, but the young version, she is amazing. I'm kind of bummed that it's not
Yeah,
gonna be this
I
person.
did it. The first half of the first episode, I was feeling it. I'm like, I don't know about this Millie. By the end of it, I was like, sold. Keep her. She's
Yes.
amazing.
She's so good. She's so good. See, I'm on the U.S. West Coast, so GDL After Dark, then straight into the Hot D. It is Hot D is the shorthand here, and I made a joke last night to Colleen, and she rolled her eyes at me, but it's time for Hot D. Honey, it's time for the Hot D. She's like, sure. All right, moving on. Damon, after making up a story about a marriage, a fake pregnancy, stealing a dragon egg, and almost causing a battle just to get his big brother's attention. I'm so random. I can't believe I just did
that. Oh, that's good.
Next up, the series try to decide who is his next wife should be, and it's a classic marry a 12-year-old, marry a 15-year-old. And then Allison Hightower acting shocked when King Viserys pledges to marry
her. In her mother's dress.
Right? Every week on House of Dragon, and it's the Simpsons meme. Get ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
He's such a lovely man who doesn't think things through.
This effing intro, bro. House of Dragon. Girl at worship or whatever. The effing crab feeder is stressing me the F out, y'all. We're not paying enough attention to this whole situation.
I've legit been that stressed out before.
Right? Does this hit too close to home, Damien? I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Rhaenyra, after leaving the small council meeting, it was announced he was marrying him. This girl is the nastiest skanky I've ever met.
Burn book.
This is amazing. Allison looking at Rhaenyra when her father announced they were going to start having sex.
Oh my god.
It's the side-eye Muppet. Oh.
It's perfect. I mean, sometimes they just write themselves, right?
Right. Oh my god. Damon, after seeing Rhaenyra pull up with Cyrax. All right, I'm gonna head out. All right, I'm gonna head out. SpongeBob is one of my favorites. This is another classic Dwight and Angela meme. Me enjoying House of Dragon, forgetting the pain of Game of Thrones. Hot D using the Game of Thrones meme. Hot D episode 2 without context. What's his? I just forgot his name. What's his name again from To Catch a Predator? Chris Hansen.
Yes.
There, we got a guy with his model trains, and we got a girl catching an egg. And we got the South Park crab people. People. And that is it for screen memes. So, Jamie, do you enjoy screen memes?
I do. That was clutch. That's good stuff.
Oh my goodness. Hung Wen just coming in here at the end. Good to see you, Hung. All right, well, that'll do it for this episode of live reactions to House of the Dragon. Let me bring up the patrons. I want to thank all of the patrons of Geek Dad Life. Without you doing these extra shows like this would not be possible, so thank you very much for your patronage. Jamie, did you have fun tonight?
I had a great time. It's always fun talking about death and tragedy and incest when you don't have to be involved directly.
So true. So true. Let's see. Brick something. Hey, listen, the people love you already, Jamie. Love meeting and having Jamie on this good stuff.
Thank you.
See? There you go. There you go. I think Monday, yeah, we need more Jamie. There we go. See, look at this. They're
I love y'all already.
I guess we'll say Monday nights at 9 will be kind of our official time, unless something comes up. But
yeah.
So if it's your first time watching it, the subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss it. And we'll be here Mondays at 9 o'clock after the latest House of the Dragon episode. So everybody take care. And until next time, hasta luego and goodbye.